It's the conversations that count, the Awanachi conversations. These are conversations with different women and soon to come men, just sharing their journeys to inspire you, to remind you that you too can be so much more than you could ever imagine if only you are determined, you're resilient, and you have a faith in God. Welcome to this week's podcast. I'm excited that you could join me as I talk to an amazing content creator. Yes, this is none other than Emma Kamau. Emma, welcome.
Thank you so much.
I'm so excited to finally have you here. Reason being that you featured in the Awanachi magazine, issue 7, as you shared your story. But to have to meet you here in person is super excited. And I know that a lot of people that will be watching this podcast will be as excited. So thank you so much for coming. You look amazing as always.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. I'm sure it shows my cheeks.
No, it's definitely showing. Now, we are in the digital space. We are in the social media era where it's almost strange if people discover you're not on social media. They're like, why aren't you on Insta? Why aren't you on Facebook? And things like that. And now you are a content creator, a social media influencer, something that you've earned obviously through your hard work. Could you just take us through your journey? What sparked your interest in digital content creation? And also, how did you get started? What happened? What was the story behind that?
So I'm actually very shy. I had no interest or desire to be a part of social media at all. When I was in university, my friend had opened a YouTube channel and she was really passionate about it. And every time she spoke to me, she said, "You're so interesting to listen to." She would always say, "You've got such a good personality." And for over a year, she made me start a YouTube channel, and I didn't want to because I'm naturally a quiet and private person. I didn't want people to be
No one would believe you, Emma.
Yeah,
Trust me. They're like, no way, no, Emma shy.
I think a good part of what we miss is that we only post what we want you to see. There's so much more of my life that I keep to myself, and I wanted to protect myself. But then I eventually started the YouTube channel, and I remember my first video did so well. People were so supportive and they liked me, and I enjoyed it even more. And when I realized that I could help my own business by being active on social media, it just grew my interest even more. For me, I love social media because it doesn't feel like a job. It feels like a bonding experience with people who support me, because these are all strangers. And the fact that they want to see me doing well, I can't meet all of them in person. I can't go say thank you to all of them in person. The best I can do is have an active social media presence, because that's my way of thanking them. They like me because I entertain them, or there's something about me that they like, so I might as well, as a form of gratitude, just be active on social media.
Yeah, and so you're doing an amazing job at your content creation. Now, how do you find inspiration for your content, and what are some of your favorite topics or themes? I say so because sometimes social media can be tiring. That's why you have people now that have social media managers to just manage their handles. How do you find inspiration for your content, and what really drives you?
For me, I only do things that I like, to be honest with you. I only do things I like, even when we're accepting opportunities and we're sitting down and talking to management. If I don't like the brand, or if I don't feel passionate about the brand, we've been so fortunate to get to a place where we can say no. Because for me, everything stems from what I love. When something is not organic to me, it's very hard for me. Like, I can't hide how I feel. I'm that type of person. Like, if I'm happy, I'm happy. If I'm not, then I'm not. And so I just do things that I love. Stuff that I love is mostly to do with fashion, but also self-development and just like encouraging other women. Mostly, I understand that my audience is mostly younger girls. So I just want there to be examples of social media influencers that are not tied to negative things, because unfortunately it comes with the space. We have a bad rep. So just to be that one person who's just sharing her story, because I'm literally just sharing the way I started, which was basically 0 followers, 0 everything. And so that's what I'm genuinely passionate about, just trying to help people, encourage them, develop themselves, mostly younger girls. I'm so passionate about.
Are there times when you feel like, I don't want to post anything?
Yes.
I don't want to put out anything. And also, are there times when you take a social media break? You know how people just say, I just need time off. Do you have those moments, or you are just on the go?
I have them. I am one person who listens to my body. Like I already mentioned, if I'm not happy doing something, it will be communicated. Mostly to the people that know me and have followed me for a while. Like we can kind of tell them, Emma, come on. So yeah, there are times where I don't feel like posting. I won't say like I won't post for a month, but if I don't feel like posting that day, I won't post that day. If I don't feel like posting that week, I won't post that week. Like
there's
I
no
just
pressure.
Yeah, there's no pressure. I just go off of how I feel. The only pressure comes when you have sponsored content that you have to release, but that's a different conversation. For the most part, me being myself and not wanting to post, I just won't post.
Yeah. Now, what were some of the initial challenges, Emma, that you faced when starting your career as a content creator, and how did you overcome them? For the Awanachi conversation, this is a key aspect of what we'd like to find out from our guests, because success always looks good.
Yes, it is.
But we always say there's no success without failure. So just share with us, what are some of the initial challenges or barriers that you had to, plow through for you to make it as a content creator?
There were quite a lot, but I would say the hardest was not being respected. And the sad part for me is that I didn't feel valued by, sadly, like, I don't want to generalize it and say the entire country didn't have faith in me, but when I reached out to like local brands and local business owners, I was shut down so many times. I was looked down on. And like when you go to these events, you go and you meet people who are well established in the space. They know each other, they're all friends, and then here you are, the new quiet girl in the corner. It's like, what are you even doing here?
Like, hello,
like,
here, please.
Yeah, so those are the challenges that I faced. I just felt I was rejected so many times. I pitched myself to even management agencies. I pitched myself to brands, small businesses. I did everything in my power, but I was just rejected every single time. And that was very difficult for me to keep on going when my answer was constantly no for years, actually.
Wow.
But I just had to keep going and pretending like everything was okay, because I knew that it would pay off one day.
Yeah. What would you describe as your breakthrough moment? You obviously went through the so many no's, and for some people they'll just curl up and say, okay, look, probably I'm not meant for this. But you kept going, you kept pushing through that. What would you describe as your breakthrough moment? What was that particular event or incident that happened that you can look back and say, this is where I began to see breakthrough? And you were saying, after many years of rejection. For some people, once, twice rejected, in a space of probably a month, you feel like, oh, this is it, I'm going to stop. But you pressed on for years. For me, that speaks to your resilience, that speaks to your tenacity. Could you just share with us your breakthrough point?
Okay, so the breakthrough point that I experienced is when I got a specific brand deal. I feel that deal opened so many doors, and it wasn't a local deal. And once I got that one, majority of the deals I have are not local.
Okay.
Yeah, so for me, that was my breakthrough moment where I felt like, okay, maybe in my own space, my own people don't see me yet, and they don't see my potential yet. And it's bittersweet that it took Mozambique, South Africa, and I think States of was Namibia. The fact that it took other countries for my country to finally see me, I think that was my breakthrough moment, because I did try. There was never a point where I reached out to any brand that's outside this country. Like, who am I? As who? Yeah, but then like even people I didn't reach out to, people who would know that there's someone seated in a meeting in Mozambique saying, oh yeah, Emma Kamau,
Yeah,
I feel like for me that was my breakthrough moment, and it opened so many doors for me, because I felt like locally, when people saw like, wait, this is our person, why is she being recognized by these guys? It kind of caused a switch, like a shift, and I finally started to feel like, okay, maybe now they see my potential. Another thing was being on a billboard. I shared that story. What it was is, I remember walking into that year feeling like I've been so disrespected. You know, I've been hurt and I've been looked down on in this space so much. I always had this notion in my head that if I'm on a billboard, maybe then my people will respect me. Like, maybe then my people would see me. And I said, this year it's going to happen. And I pushed, I worked, I pitched myself. I was willing to do it for free. That's how passionate I was about just wanting to be on a billboard. And when the moment finally came, all of this didn't even matter. Like, all the people didn't even matter. For me, it was just an opening moment because it happened towards the end of the year. Like 2 weeks after, I told my best friend that I'm okay with it not happening.
Wow.
And when it finally happened, like, all of these other things didn't matter for me. It just felt like a bonding experience with God. It felt like God was telling me, like, I've seen you even when others haven't. And it was just like, I cried so much that day. Even thinking about it today still makes me cry because I was just driving home randomly. It was in the talks, it was in the works. We kind of knew about it, kind of didn't. And I'm driving home and I remember I had a bad nail day. I hated my nails that day and I was so upset. And I'm looking up, and I'm looking up and there I am, and it's in the road that I live in that I was passing in every day when going to the gym and coming back home. So I feel like those 2 moments for me were just like my life-changing moments.
Yeah. And then how has that changed? You know how sometimes as a human being, you would react and say, oh, so you want me now because I'm international. How have you still managed your relationship with those ones that rejected you but now want you?
I'm extremely spiritual. I believe in God and I believe in his timing. I'm not mad at them. I just believe that it wasn't the right time for them to see me. Yeah, it's not even out of spite. It's not even out of they just had a personal agenda against me. I've now gotten opportunities. Just the other day, I had a meeting with this agency that treated me so poorly, and the specific client wanted me in particular. Wow. They don't even manage me, but that client said, we need Emma to be a part of it. And then they called me back. And I opened up and I told them, like, I was hurt by the way that you treated me. I was hurt by the way that you made me feel. But it's like, I'm not upset. I'm not angry. I understand that it's just time. If it happened then, I don't think I would appreciate it as much as I do now.
Amazing. Now, I tend to imagine, Emma, that the social media space is like ever changing, ever evolving. It's fast paced, so many things changing. How do you keep abreast with the latest social media trends, or is it tools or technology? How do you ensure that you're on top of your game?
I used to be very active about it, understanding the algorithm or knowing what's trending or this and this. I was very fixated on social media. But you know what I've come to realize? People don't like me because I'm doing trending things. People like me as a human being. And for me, I try not to move with the trends. I'm going to wear what I want and post what I want. I'm going to say what I want, because in as much as, yes, it's important to pay attention to these things, they don't determine. There are so many people that I love and follow that don't even know what algorithm is. But because they are themselves, it's easy for them to still continue having a presence on social media. And once I realized that, I experienced so much peace, because when you start being fixated on numbers and algorithm and what hashtag do I use, don't get me wrong, it's important if you're an influencer to have a general understanding of these things. But if you're just not a good person, then you're just not a good person. So focus on being a good person and just share what you want to share. And those that genuinely love you will always be receptive, whether it's on trend or not.
Oh, wow. I totally love that. Many lessons. We could actually have a separate conversation on that. Now, what are some of the strategies that you have built, especially when you got your breakthrough, your international breakthrough, and then, of course, in Zambia, for you to just build a strong personal brand, and then also just to grow your online presence?
So what I do in terms of building relationships with brands is I just try to be a good person. You can't fake being a good person. Whether you smile, whether you're pretty, whether you're this, if you're not a good person, you're not a good person. And energy tells. When you walk into a room, do you make people uncomfortable? Are you pleasant? Do you say hello? Do you do all of these things? I try my best. In as much as I have management, sometimes I do show up for my own meetings, because I want the people to understand that I'm not just a person who's like, yeah, deal. Like, no, I actually appreciate. I want to understand. I want to build a relationship with you, mostly the agencies, because this is not the only deal you're going to get. Another brand is going to come to you and they're going to want influencers. I want to build a good relationship with you so that you call me for the next one, and that's also going to develop me. So that's a strategy that I just try to use. I just try to be as pleasant as I possibly can. I think that has really helped me. A lot. That's the only thing I'm always worried about. Like, okay, I need to be a good person. I need to be kind. I need to listen. Yes.
Because nobody else is like Emma, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, could you share with us, I know you didn't share earlier in our conversation about how, you went through all these experiences of so many no's before your yeses finally started coming, and it had to take countries, that are obviously outside Zambia. Could you just share with us a memorable experience or a memorable deal that you look back to and that always reminds you? You told me about how you're spiritual. That always reminds you of God's faithfulness, about how God still reminds you that he's got your back, even at a time when you thought nobody was seeing you, your work was not amounting to anything.
Yeah.
Could you share with us just that one memorable experience that is very defining for you?
Yeah, it goes, but it's the same one. The first international deal that I got, that one was tied. It wasn't just about posting pictures. It was extremely emotional for me. I remember when I got the email, again, I was having a bad day. I don't know why. But I remember when I got the email, I responded so quickly. At the time, I didn't have management, so I responded myself, and she asked me to say, oh, how much do you charge for a post? And I think I told her maybe $100 per post or something like that. And the lady just said no. She said, there's no way that's what you're going to charge. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean? Here I'm asking people for 500 kwacha or whatever, 350 for a story post, and they're saying no. So I was even shaking when I was charging in dollars, because the email said charge in dollars. Mm-hmm. So I just said, okay, fine, let me just, fingers crossed, let me just try $100. And the lady said no. She was like, I'm not pitching that to the brand. I'm going to tell them X amount. And she said this ridiculous amount. I'm like, Mom, calm down. It's not that serious. It's too much. And the lady was like, you can't charge that. And by then I hadn't really worked with brands, so she didn't have much reference to go off of, because again, everyone was saying no to me. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people were giving me opportunities. Mm-hmm. So she didn't have reference to check that I can do this. Mm-hmm. She just, I guess, saw the potential. Mm-hmm. And she said no. And I remember she went quiet for some time, and I was like, yep, it's because she went ahead and asked for all that money, and now the company said no. And when they came back and said yes, and everything was like, papa, ready to go. For me, that was a shift, because I really saw wait, I'm actually valued here. I actually feel wanted here. And that just it made me feel like it was not for nothing. It was beyond just the money, because I wasn't even asking for the money. I'm not that type of person. But then the value attached to that someone believes in you so much, mm-hmm. that they go and say no. Because, with agencies, what it is, you can easily just give them an amount. They go tell the big boss a certain amount and just chuck up the rest. Unfortunately, that's how these things work. Mm-hmm. But then that lady, for whatever reason, she didn't know me. She was just purely just honest and gave me the opportunity. So for that, I just felt okay. It's worth it.
Oh, wow. Yes. Now, how do you foster, the engagement with your audience and just create a sense of community around your content? How do you just go around that?
I struggle with it sometimes, because sometimes my schedule doesn't allow me to respond to every comment or every message. And, I know how it feels to text somebody that you like and then they don't respond. But unfortunately, life is life. I can't. How I try to stay connected with my community is that I have a YouTube channel. So with my YouTube channel, it's easier for me to share my story, share my life as compared to Instagram. Instagram is 1 or 2 pictures and you're good. But then with my YouTube, I talk, I communicate. Okay, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. This is how I feel. And when people start to feel like they're a part of you, they grow with you. Mm-hmm. That's the community. So I use my YouTube as a way to come back and just say oh no, I'm still me, even if I'm not responding to your Instagram message. Yes. Mm-hmm. So that's for me. I'm fortunate that I have the channel where it's not about anything particular aside from me just being me. Mm-hmm. So that's my outlet. That's the main thing I use to build a sense of community, which I then just try to transfer to the rest of my platforms.
Mm. And then how do you approach balancing creativity and the demands of maintaining, a consistent content schedule? I like the fact that you touched on it earlier. You talked about how for you there's no pressure. You don't expect you don't pressure yourself into posting content, for instance, daily. Obviously, you have those moments that you feel a bit more inspiration and you post those ones. But if you feel you need to take a break, you do that. But how do you still maintain that and your creativity amidst other demands as well?
So you know what I've learned recently? Even when I'm not in the mood to shoot content, I'm just going to capture something. Because what it is content creation isn't really about anything specific. Everybody has a different story to tell. So even in times when I'm not in the mood, I don't feel like doing this, if there's a moment that I want to capture and share later, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And that kind of helps my consistency. So even when I'm not in the mood to capture at that specific moment, I'm running out of space in my phone because I've got so many other things that I can come and post and still at least help me stay consistent. I fully embrace the fact that I'm a content creator. So even when I'm not in the mood, it's like when people who work 9 to 5 jobs, even when they're not in the mood, they show up. So just because I'm a content creator and it looks slightly cuter doesn't mean that that's an excuse for you not to show up. So even when I don't feel like it, I kind of will. So it kind of helps me at least balance and stay consistent. And I know I'm still posting things that I like because it's from me.
So as a content creator, Emma, are there people that you look up to? People that you're like, oh, wow, they do amazing work. You know, are there, maybe we could start from locally if you have any in Zambia and if you could just highlight a few that are out of the country.
There are actually so many, even just here in Zambia, which I'm really happy about because for a long time, when you look at this digital space, there's not much positive influence that you can get. But nowadays, a lot of, well-spoken, well-mannered, just proper women are standing up and joining the platform, and all the time I get so excited. Like people, not just in just like fashion, even people who are in finances and people who are in agriculture, they are standing up and they are speaking about their stories online, which is good motivation for us. But in terms of me, my space locally, oh my God, where do I even start from? There's so many.
Okay, just give us your top 3.
I feel like I'm cheating on the other ones. That's what I feel like. I don't think I can give my top 3 local ones because I'll feel so bad. Yeah, because there are so many. There are a lot on the top of my head. It's just that I know when I watch this back, I'll feel so guilty for not mentioning the next person.
Okay, yes. we'll spare you that stress.
Thank you.
Maybe those are some international ones that you look up to.
International ones, top 3. Probably Bonang, KAMS, and Z Online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Top 3.
Those ones you're comfortable.
Yeah, I can say. I can say those 3.
Okay. Now, there could be, an aspiring digital content creator who's watching you and feeling overwhelmed about just building their brand. Thinking, okay, look, I'm posting content. We did have a conversation some time back about an entrepreneur who was sharing her journey with us on how when they started posting stuff on social media, they would post and there would be 0 engagement, no comment, no like, no nothing. And sometimes that can be overwhelming because you're thinking, okay, what is going on? Is there something wrong with the content? What would be your advice to somebody aspiring to grow their brand on social media? And then, of course, get to that point when they can fully engage with their audiences, because at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want that engagement. You just don't want to say, okay, I know so-and-so saw my post, the impressions and all those, that jargon that we utilize. What would be your word to an aspiring digital content creator who doesn't even know and probably looks up to you and says, I would like to be an Emma one day? How does that look like?
For me, I'm going to say there's real power in not knowing. There's power in not knowing what the outcome is. It's like there's this saying that says, if God showed you the end of your life, where you would die, what it's going to look like, and all of that stuff, imagine how boring and stale your life would be because you know what the outcome is going to be. So you're not going to put in as much effort. You're not going to try things. You're not going to have different experiences because you already know how it ends. So what's the point? So even, I also look at it in the same way with content creation. There's beauty in not knowing. There's beauty in people not knowing you, because when they know you, it's so powerful now, because you would have known that there was once upon a time that you didn't know me, but I worked so hard and now I'm sitting in front of you. And it's not even
like there's beauty not knowing, right?
Yeah, it's not even about ish, look at me now, you're watching me, and that type of things. Like, there's more to life than that. All of that stuff is just extra. It speaks for itself. You shouldn't come and say, I told you. It will speak for itself, and it will show. So even when people don't know you, and people are not watching you, and people are not responding the way it is, the crazy thing about content creation also, it just takes one video that's going to blow up. And when people see that one video that's going to blow up, and if you create content that aligns with that one video, they'll start watching back your stuff, and that's how they fall in love with you and they get to know you. So don't look at it as people don't see me right now, they just don't see me yet. I haven't yet reached my time. And when I reach my time, I'll be so prepared that people have a backlog of content to watch, and they'll have no other choice but to like what I do.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really, really amazing. Now, what are some of the areas of or types of content you'd like to explore in future? You know, we're always thinking, okay, I've done this, but what am I going to grow into? Is there an area that you feel, I would like to explore this and see how that
See how
works?
I'm getting excited again?
Yes, I can see you.
Yes, travel content.
Travel content.
Yes, I really want to get into that space. I really want to enjoy my youth and see different places, see this beautiful green world that God created for us. And so I want to get into the, travel content space. I'm really passionate about it. I love it. My feed is full of Zanzibar, this, that. And I just want to also get into that space, because I know my potential. I know what I can do. I'm just waiting for the right time. When it aligns, I know it's going to come. But that's my goal.
Okay.
Yes.
What's your favorite sport in Zambia?
Boxing.
No, I mean like
Sport?
tourism.
Oh, I was gonna be like, I love boxing.
But even then, boxing, why? Boxing?
Because I box. I actually don't watch boxing. I just do it. So I don't even know the art of actually beating people up or watching it. I don't do that.
You use it for exercise.
Yes, because I hate
amazing.
cardio. I hate running, but I needed a way to kind of mix both weights and cardio. So I found a fun way to do it, and I just box. I box like 3-4 times a week.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so when you said sport, I immediately jumped.
Please, I need to get into that as well. But I specifically asked the question because you talked about creating content around travel, around tourism.
Yes.
So in Zambia, of course, what would be your favorite tourism destination?
Lower Zambezi. I've never been, but I see all the videos. I see everything, and I just can't wait to go, because I'm gonna go regardless. So I can't wait to go. But definitely my go-to spot would be Lower Zambezi, in the bush with the animals, the fire, the camping, all of that. That's why I want to be a part of all of that. I want to be a part of nature there.
Amazing.
Yes.
Now, before I let you go, Emma, could you tell us 3 values that you can point to that you say, I think I've gotten to where I am now because of these 3 things? Just for, somebody who's watching and would want to just appreciate that aspect. What makes you the lady that you are?
The first and most important thing is that I surrendered. The moment that I gave this whole content creation thing to God is when I actually started seeing results. So it's surrendering that power. I think it's when you start to see results and people start to follow you, you start to think it's because of your own power. You start to think like, whoop, I did that.
That
like,
was me.
I worked hard. That was me, And for me, I let go of that. Anything that happens, I always attribute to God. Me being called here, I said, oh no, God, thank you. So I'm going to do what I can with what you've given me. I'll show up. I'll be pleasant. I'll be on time. I'll do this because I consider it as a gift. Because at some point, I surrendered and let God choose what he's going to do with me and the positions he's going to put me in. Definitely. And the second thing is I don't listen to outside noise. I don't care if somebody else doesn't like what I'm wearing. Like, I don't care if somebody doesn't like what I stand for. For me, it's just me and what aligns with the person that I am. So I take that very seriously. I am selectively deaf. I choose when to listen and when not to listen, because listening also is very important. That's the only way you learn and you grow. So I can't completely just ignore everybody and sit on my own strength. But at the same time, I'm also aware that there's so much negativity in the world, and people do have the capabilities or the capacity to pull you down if you let them. So I always keep that in mind, and I'm always just selective. And the third thing is I always practice gratitude. There's the saying that God can't bless you with more if you are not appreciative of what he's given you right now. So all the time I always just say, like, I'm always thankful. No matter how big or small the gig is, I'm always thankful that it was me regardless. So yeah, I think those are the 3 things that I think I stand on.
Wow. Emma, it's been a joy, I must say, having you on the conversation. And time has just flown by so fast.
Yeah.
We look forward to still having you come through to the conversation so you can tell us about the many things that God is doing in your life. I strongly do believe that God will continue to enlarge your territory. I like the fact that you saw a big difference at the point that you got to a place of surrender.
Yes.
Because I strongly believe that God won't help you with something that you can do in your own strength.
Yes.
It's at that point where you say, I've done what I can up to here.
Yeah.
Then God shows up because he needs to show
off. Very
off.
important. We also shouldn't use the fact that God loves us as an excuse not to put in the effort. I feel like that's one thing I have to tell every single content creator that's also a believer. It's like an exam. You can't just pray like, God, help me pass, and not open your notes and study. So it's the same thing with content creation. But what I will say is the people who get overwhelmed and stressed, and I was in that position, so I know, are the people who believe that they can do it on their own. So like you said, just do what you can and be like, God, surrender. I've charged this one. It's now up to you. Yeah, even when I pitch myself, that's always the result I can. I'm like, okay, God, I've pitched myself, I've written the email, I've done my proposal, I've sent it to the brand. There's only so much I can do now from this point. So that's what I mean by surrender, not just from the get-go and stay home and say, no, because I've surrendered.
No, you do your part and then leave the rest to God.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Emma, for coming through to the conversations. And once again, thank you for agreeing to feature in issue 7 of Awanachi as one of our women creatives. Thank you so much. We just speak God's blessings over your life.
Thank you.
And we know that great and amazing things are coming forth for you.
Thank you so much. Thanks again for having me.
It's been a joy. Well, I have been talking to a content creator, that's Emma Kamau, who actually features in issue 7 of the Awanachi magazine, just sharing her journey as a content creator. She's talked about the importance of being authentic. She's talked about the importance of surrender. It shouldn't just be about you, even as you churn out that content on your socials, and then also just being careful what you listen to, because in a world where there's so much negativity, you can actually be drawn and lose who you are. So I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. It is my sincere hope and trust that you have too. So do join me next time for another exciting podcast of the Awanachi Conversations. These are conversations that count. I've been your host, Mpunga Chipepo-Simukwai. Goodbye and God bless you.